Clean eating doesn't have to be perfect, difficult, or overwhelming. With over a decade of clean eating experience and many years as a holistic nutritionist, I figured it out so you didn't have to, and I put together 5 tips to help you simplify clean eating and make it a lot less overwhelming. So whether you're just starting out with clean eating, trying to improve your gut health and energy, or if you're just in a rut, these tips are going to help you. And make sure you watch to the end because I think the 5th tip is going to be the most helpful for you. Tip number 1, keep your meals simple. This cannot be overstated. If you're just starting out with clean eating, you do not need to make a 4-course meal for every meal just to eat well, okay? We're talking keep your meals like a few ingredients if you need to. Find a few recipes, rotate them, make sure they're clean, healthy, have good ingredients, and just keep them on hand and go through them, especially in the first few weeks as you're just starting out. It can be really helpful to just have those few quick recipes to pull from and completely eliminate the overwhelm. Now, of course, you're gonna wanna expand on that as you go on because you don't wanna eat the same thing every day for weeks on end. But when you're just starting out, keep it super simple in the recipes you're using as well as the ingredients you're using. So here's what I like to do personally for all my meals. I pick a protein. This is gonna be the base ingredients of my meals. So we're talking a chicken breast or a piece of salmon, and then you build around that. So you pick your protein and then you pick your fiber. So fiber is gonna be things like vegetables. So I pick 2 to 3 vegetables. You don't need to go crazy here. You don't need 30 vegetables on your plate. Just pick a few, keep it simple, and build your plate with half a plate of vegetables. And then you move to your healthy fats. So I love things like avocados, olive oil, if it's good quality, avocado oil, olives. So pick your healthy fats, make that like a quarter of your plate, and then drizzle a good amount of oil on your food. And then you're gonna pick your carbs. So that's gonna be like sweet potatoes, any starchy vegetables like squashes, maybe you're eating a little bit of rice, quinoa, something like that, and build your plate around that. You will eliminate so much of the overwhelm. It doesn't need to be as complicated as we see online, and you don't need to have this Pinterest perfect meal every time you're just trying to nourish yourself, because that is the name of the game. We're about nourishment. We're not trying to make things fancy and elaborate. We're just trying to nourish your body as a woman, okay? That is the most important thing. Having a few meals that you rotate through or keeping things really simple this way is going to reduce decision fatigue and actually make you eat clean, because otherwise you're going to the chips, you're ordering skip, and it's game over. So just keep it really simple, and this will help you actually stay on track and make it sustainable. Tip number 2 is to shop the perimeter of the store. When I used to take my clients on in-person grocery store tours as a nutritionist, I would not even go in the inner aisles. We would only stay on the perimeter. Why? Because that is where the real food lives. And emphasis on lives. You want food that is living, that is alive, that until recently was rooted in the earth or was breathing. Now, ideally, I would encourage you to go to your local farmer's market. I know that's not always an option for people, especially in the winter, but if you live in a place where you can always shop farmer's markets, you're going to get food that is so much more nutrient dense and fresh and local. That is ideal. But if you can't do that, shop the perimeter of the grocery store to support your health, digestion, energy, hormones. Avoid the inner aisles because that's where you're gonna find all the packaged foods, processed foods, snacks you really don't need. And you're gonna find all those living foods, like I said, like your fresh veggies, fresh fruits, eggs, meat. Those things are gonna be on the outside. Also, of course, shop the organic aisle. I would always encourage that. But even then, you have to be very particular with what you're looking for. So just keep it simple for yourself. Look for those real whole foods, shop the perimeter, and you're gonna be miles ahead of everybody else. If you are curious about what you should prioritize buying organic, look up something called the Dirty Dozen by the EWG, and it will show a list every year that specifies which foods are the most sprayed and which foods you can purchase conventional, but just focus on real whole foods. Tip number 3 is to balance your meals and eat enough. The number of women that I would see in my practice, and I'm not here to bash any of those women. They came to learn, and they came from a place where they were getting their information from social media primarily, and just years of growing up in diet culture. This cannot be stressed enough. We have to eat enough as women, okay? We have to really nourish our bodies. If you are feeling like you're stressed and you're burnt out and you're exhausted and you're eating these wimpy little salads for lunch and avoiding fat and not getting much protein, it needs to change or you'll never feel better. And I'm gonna say that boldly. You need to be eating enough. You need calories because calories are energy. You need nourishment, and we need calories to do that. Now, of course, we wanna choose the right ones. We wanna choose calories in a steak or an avocado versus a bag of chips. There's a huge difference, right? But make sure you're nourishing your body, getting enough food, and balancing your meals. So like I already mentioned, by balance, I mean picking your protein, picking a healthy fats, picking your fiber and your phytonutrients. These are gonna be your colors, like colorful vegetables, colorful fruits, your greens, your purples, your reds, things like that. So I'm not talking a few slices of chicken breast, I'm talking like a full chicken breast or a full piece of salmon, not just a few beans. That doesn't really give you any protein at all, or a single egg. You wanna do 3 eggs plus some protein on top of that. So getting a good amount of meat, ideally, because that's going to be the most bioavailable. I know not everybody is going to eat meat. That's my personal preference for women, is getting good, healthy, ideally grass-fed, grass-finished organic, but just literally starting and just getting good meat, because that is going to be the most bioavailable form of protein, so your body can actually absorb and utilize the protein in it. And then we want to look at healthy fats. So these fats are going to come from things like avocado. I'm not talking like a little teaspoon of avocado on the side or guacamole. I'm talking like half an avocado, or at least a quarter, and then you drizzle a good guzzle of extra virgin olive oil on your food. We don't need to fear these fats. They build your hormones, they build your brain. Every cell in our bodies is actually formed with a fatty coating around it, and we need these for our cells to be able to communicate properly, our gut and brain to communicate properly, our nervous system to communicate properly. We need fats for our nervous system to not be overstimulated and stressed and in fight or flight. We need fats, we need proteins. Those are really important for calm, healthy, balanced hormones as a woman. And then we look at fiber. So these are gonna be looking at colorful vegetables. I think a lot of women have it down here, like they know they need to eat their vegetables. Now I just wanna encourage you, expand on it a little. Get some color in there. The more colors you have, the more phytonutrients you're going to be getting on your plate. So think of getting your reds, your greens, your blues. So reds, for example, something like red pepper. Purples are gonna be like beets, that's red, but we call it purple, or like red cabbage. Getting different colors on your plate, that's a really easy, simplified way to look at your plate and say, okay, am I getting a good balance of nutrients on my plate? Look at your colors and see how many you have on there. Doesn't need to be super complicated. You don't need a million on your plate, but just try to get a few and try to get a variety. Okay, carbs. I think in our society, we still fear a lot of foods, and I think fats are still one of them, which is crazy. We gotta get that out of our heads. And carbs are also one of them. Now, if you watch any of my What I Eat in a Day videos, I don't eat a lot of carbs. I don't eat rice, I don't eat grains. I personally just don't handle them well, but I definitely get carbs from things like sweet potatoes, squashes, peppers, lots of fruits. When you're getting carbs from real whole foods and you're not eating them in excess, you're golden, okay? Especially as women, we do need carbs, especially around our cycle, when we are leading up to our menstrual phase, when we're in that luteal phase, which is like 7 to 10 days before your cycle. You definitely want some more carbs. If you find that you crave them, that's a sign you probably need to bump them up a little bit. I'm not talking about going towards chips and pastries and tons of breads, but just those good carbs like sweet potatoes, squashes, fruits, really making sure that those are part of a balanced meal. Now, if you're eating like this and you're getting a good variety in your meals and you're eating enough, you are going to help stabilize your blood sugar. You're going to feel a lot more stable mentally and emotionally. You're not gonna be hangry, you're not gonna be as hungry, and you're just gonna feel a lot more balanced throughout your day, both physically and mentally. So I would highly encourage you to focus on getting those 3 meals a day, making sure they're bulked up, balanced, and you will feel so much better, I promise you. If you're always hungry and you're craving sugar or salt, or even things like cheese or chips, like those kind of greasy, fatty types of foods, that's a good sign that you're not actually getting enough nourishment. You're probably not getting enough fat either. So if you get those hunger cues, ask yourself, okay, did I nourish my body enough today? Did I eat enough today? Did I skip meals? If you start to ask yourself those questions and keep tabs on how much you're eating throughout the day without obsessing over it, without having to track a million things, just asking yourself, did I eat those 3 meals? Did I eat enough today? That is going to help you be a lot more stable and avoid the cravings and the hunger and just feel like a well-balanced normal woman, which is exactly how you're meant to feel. You're meant to feel energized and you're meant to thrive. Tip number 4 is to use the tools that you have for prepping your meals. I don't think you need to have a million gadgets in your kitchen. I personally probably only use a couple. My Instant Pot is one of them. You don't have to have an Instant Pot, but if you do have one, use it to your advantage. You can save so much time just using it and finding recipes that are tailored towards an Instant Pot. I use it for soups, stews, meat. You can make salmon in literally 3 minutes on the steam setting. It's wild. So use these things to your advantage if you do have them. I also use my food processor a ton. I have an old Ninja food processor I got 10 years ago. I use it to chop so many things. You can slice cucumbers, you can shred carrots, slice onion. You can really use these tools to your advantage to cut down on the prep time so you don't have to be in the kitchen for hours. They honestly are life-changing. Tip number 5 is more of a mindset tip. This was truly life-changing for me when I started to shift my mindset towards food as nourishment and not something that I needed to fear or stress about. Someone who reacted to literally everything. I was always afraid that anything I ate was gonna make me bloat until I looked 6 months pregnant. I literally looked 6 months pregnant every day of my life by the end of the day because my gut was so messed up. There was a lot of fear around food, a lot of stress around food. I also had to eat many times a day just to function. So it was like this constant feedback that my nervous system was getting of food is bad, but I also need it to live and it makes me feel terrible, but I need it to survive. So I just want to encourage you with this, to start seeing food as nourishment, not something to fear. Many women that I've worked with have a lot of emotional ties around food. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of attachment. Maybe they feel like they're unwilling to give up certain foods because they have sentimental value towards that food. Or maybe they, like me, just reacted to so many things. They didn't know how to nourish their bodies and they didn't know how they were ever gonna feel good eating food. It was a place of fear and stress. But what I want you to do when you sit down and eat or when you're prepping a meal, I want you to actually think about that meal as an act of care for your body. I want you to practice gratitude for your meals. It actually does change how your nervous system and your body views the food and how you will accept that food physically. So taking deep breaths before a meal, and I'll pray before a meal, that's something that I would really encourage you to do. Thank God that it is nourishing your body and that you have the opportunity to eat good, clean food and to nourish your body. We need to stop seeing cooking as a chore and start seeing it as something that is truly a blessing and a gift. I know that a lot of people can't afford to eat healthy foods the way that I can. It's such a blessing, it's such a gift to be able to prep our meals. It's just this idea of, wow, I get to sit down, I get to nourish my body. If we really let that sink in, it's not a chore, it's not punishment, it's not something that, oh, we have to eat this because we were bad. Oh, I hate that. I really don't like that punishment mentality for food. Food is amazing nourishment. If you think about every single thing you're eating today, tomorrow, next week, it literally is nourishing your cells and it's literally becoming you. It's becoming your physical body. That's wild. And every 7 years, our cells and our bodies are completely regenerating. Mostly just phenomenal to think about. Every time I eat, I'm nourishing my body, I'm creating my body, I'm creating my liver, I'm creating my eyes, my heart with the foods that I'm eating. That blows my mind personally. So instead of aiming for perfection, just start to ask yourself, how can I nourish my body today? How can I get 1% better today? Start seeing food as the fuel and the nourishment and the life that it truly is. I believe it will change your life. If this video resonated with you today, I think you're gonna love this video on how to simplify clean eating. I break things down in more detail that I think is really going to help you. What stood out for you today? I would love to hear in the comments. Let's start a conversation. I'm so thankful that you were here with me today. I'll see you in the next video.